It's kind of a secret society. Nobody knows what we do. You rarely have time to stop and catch your breath.
There are real-world consequences to us getting anything wrong.
Ready for your close-up? So the interesting thing about this building is that, I mean, it's magnificent, but it is also quite intimidating. It's jam-packed with history and all sorts of interesting anecdotes. It's an awe-inspiring place. A lot of people probably think, well, I could never have a job there. And I would be one of those people. My name is Rick Yarish, and I am the Clerk of the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The job of the clerk is essentially to facilitate all of the meetings of the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. We are also the record keepers of the Assembly, and perhaps most importantly, we are the referees of the Assembly. It's our job to make sure that the work of the Assembly happens in the way that the rules and the laws of Manitoba prescribe. It's kind of a secret society, honestly,
Yeah.
being a clerk. Nobody knows what we do. We're the cogs in the machine that make everything happen. This Assembly's been in operation since 1871, over 140 years, and in that time, 14 people have served as clerk, and I am the 14th. So I'm well aware of the legacy that is part of my responsibility. This used to be where my first office was in April 2000. This is where I started in the Ledge, and gosh, that seems like a long time ago now. I was always interested in politics, even when I was a teenager, but I never imagined that I would have an opportunity to work in this place. I saw a job posting for something called a clerk assistant clerk of committees. I didn't know what a clerk of committee was. I didn't even really know what a clerk was, but I applied, and it took a little while, but I ended up getting the position.
My first day coming into the Ledge, I remember walking up that staircase, and I remember thinking, this isn't happening. I don't actually have this job. Someone's going to figure out that I'm an idiot, and they're not going to keep me. But they haven't. It seems to be working out.
I felt within a couple of weeks like I belong here. I felt like I have finally figured out what I'm supposed to do with my life. Hey, Eric.
Hey, Rick.
The Legislative Assembly of Manitoba had its first sitting on March 15th, 1871. We inherited a lot of traditions from other parts of Canada and from the United Kingdom at the time. We've now been in operation for 153 years, and through that time, we have a lot of traditions and a lot of protocols that we follow in the same way that we followed back then. The sitting day always starts with what's called the Speaker's Parade.
If you happen to arrive before the session starts, you'll be in time to witness the traditional parade of the Speaker, led by the Sergeant-at-Arms, followed by the Speaker and the Clerk of the House.
We enter the north doors of the Assembly, and that's how the sitting day starts. So we meet in the Legislative Chamber. When we're in there and we're in session, that means the House is sitting, the House is in session. Those are terms that we use quite a lot. The majority of the decisions that are made in the House are agreed to by all members. The things that make the news are when they disagree. Not surprisingly. You don't hear about all the planes that land, you hear about the ones that crash. So the public only gets to see sort of when things get crunchy in the House. We get to see the good part of it too, when they are agreeing on something, when they have all done something really constructive together. We literally have a front row seat to all of that, and almost nobody gets to do that. The Assembly is made up of 57 MLAs, members of the Legislative Assembly. They're the face of the Assembly, but there are hundreds of people behind the scenes who make all of that happen. Hello. Ready for your close-up? Digital media is responsible for the Assembly website. That's sort of how it started. A lot of graphic design and other things like that. A big part of their job now is broadcasting everything that happens in the chamber. This is our broadcast control room. As you can see, it's a full broadcast TV studio. I don't come down here enough. It kind of blows my mind every time I see how much is there. Hello, committees people. We have the committees branch. They're clerks at the table, so they serve in the chamber, but they also facilitate meetings in rooms like this, in the committee rooms. They do the job that I used to do years ago, and actually Tim, our deputy clerk, did the same job, so we all kind of paid our dues in committee land. So this office is the Journals and Research Branch. This is the daily order paper. So every night, Vanessa and Taylor have to prepare this one for the next day. And this is essentially the menu of everything that is eligible to be considered in the House on a sitting day. Our Hansard branch, probably one of the largest branches in the Assembly.
The Legislative Assembly.
Everything that is said in that chamber gets recorded by one crew and then transcribed by another crew and then edited, proofread, goes through so many sets of eyes before it's a final product. All of that happens in an incredibly short space of time. Every day the House rises at 5 o'clock and then the next morning a volume of Hansard is produced. All of us need to do our jobs and need to do them really well so that the Assembly can function, so that government can function, so society can function. One of the things that I like to do as a manager is find good people, train them really well, and then get out of their way and let them do their job. We've got excellent people in all of these branches. They don't require us to micromanage them, and we don't do that. But we are here to either verify a decision that they're going to make, or they'll just give us a report like today, hey, one of our cameras broke today, and this is what we did to fix it. That requires a great deal of time and effort for us to keep up with all of that stuff, on top of doing what we do to run the House. Let me just check my phone, make sure that nothing's happening that I need to know about. Working at the Assembly can be quite demanding. On a sitting day, you rarely have time to sort of stop and catch your breath. You're pretty much running from the moment you walk in until the moment you walk out.
There's a lot of responsibility, and you do feel the weight of that at times. There are real-world consequences to us getting anything wrong, and so we have to be so careful.
It's challenging from the amount of time you put in. It's stressful because there's a lot of heavy decisions that you have to make. But at the same time, it's incredibly rewarding because you know that you're a part of making something happen, and it's something that matters to the people of Manitoba.
Yeas 17, nays 26.
I declare the motion accordingly defeated.
This is a version of the rule book for the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba from 1912. It also has a stamp in the inset of the book that says Clerk of the Legislative Assembly, which is me now. And as I was holding this in my hands, I was very conscious of the fact that someone was doing my job 100 years ago. And I thought, well, it's my job to do it now, and I want to make sure that I uphold that legacy. It's my hope that 100 years from now, there'll be someone else in my job and the related jobs. I hope they will have a similar feeling of legacy, that they're part of this long tradition of what happens in the Assembly.
People will be able to look back at things that have been achieved in our time here, and we will know that that couldn't have happened without us and without the hard work that we do.
From our perspective, it doesn't matter who's in government, it doesn't matter what their political agenda is. We serve all 57 members equally, and we adhere to this fiercely. Our credibility depends on that. I'm still entitled to vote, and I do vote in elections, but I am extremely private about my political beliefs because I don't ever want a member to have any inclination about how I might vote. It's far more important for me to serve the Assembly than it is for my political views to be known. When I was appointed as clerk last year, part of my mandate was to increase the diversity and the inclusion of the workforce of the Assembly. It is probably the highest priority that I have to make sure that the population of the province is represented by the folks who work for the Assembly. A lot of people in the Assembly probably never imagined that they were going to work in the Assembly. I think some of our positions aren't commonly known. You don't have to have a history degree. You don't even need to have a poli-sci degree or a law degree. Really what we need for someone in a clerk position, we need someone who's learned how to think and how to research and how to write and how to digest a lot of information and come out with an answer on the other side. That's what we do as clerks. It's a remarkable job, and not a single day goes by that I don't recognize the incredible privilege that I have to be the clerk of the Assembly. There's nothing in the world that I would rather be doing, and I'm so proud to be able to be here and be part of what happens in this building.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of What Do You Do? We really want to extend our gratitude to everyone at the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba for having us. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the exciting new episodes coming later this year.